Today, our focus on Black History Month takes us to one of the greatest musical stages in the world, the New York Philharmonic. History is revisited there nightly as iconic classical pieces are brought to life by this revered orchestra. But beyond the music, there's a different type of story to tell. Here's CBSN New York's Maurice Dubois.
To listen to the New York Philharmonic is to experience the pinnacle of the art form. In the middle of it all is 40-year-old Anthony McGill. He holds the prominent position of the Philharmonic's principal clarinet, the leader of his section, setting the tone and playing the solos, the first African-American to do so since it was founded in 1842.
What does it mean to be the first African-American principal clarinetist at this fine institution?
It's amazing. That sort of representation does matter. To see people that do what you love to do, that come from places you came from, maybe look like you, maybe are the same gender as you, maybe, you know, all these things that we can relate to.
He found his calling at an early age, following in the footsteps of his older brother Damari, who took up the flute as a child and today is the principal flutist of the Seattle Symphony Orchestra.
You wanted to be like your big brother.
I did.
What was the attraction?
I do.
I still do. Still trying to get there.
Yeah.
But what was the attraction?
When he was interested in something, he would go for it like 150%. And I saw his drive and his energy. Even when we were younger, he was really successful.
But growing up on the south side of Chicago and playing classical clarinet came with some daunting challenges.
There were people laying into me because I wasn't on the football team. Like, that were like, why don't you know, come on, like this clarinet thing, calling me names.
But he stayed with it, dedicated to his music. McGill's early career flourished, and the classical world embraced him. After playing principal clarinet for the Metropolitan Opera for 10 years, he joined the Philharmonic as principal in 2014.
The first performances when I even joined the orchestra, I had to tell myself every morning, I had to look in the mirror and say, you are good enough.
Even at the highest level?
At the highest level, especially. Yeah. There's that little voice in your head that will try to tell you that maybe you don't belong here, right? But that's what I've had to do my entire life, to tell myself, actually, no, you do deserve this. You know how hard you've worked? You know what you've done until this point to get here? Do you know what you sacrificed to be here?
McGill says perhaps the greatest stamp of approval came when the acclaimed cellist Yo-Yo Ma invited him to play at President Obama's first inauguration.
In my mind, it's probably the greatest moment in all of American history. One of the greatest moments. For me, to have the instrument that, you know, I started when I was a kid, not knowing where it would take me in my life, and to have that instrument and that music take me to that moment as a black man growing up on the south side of Chicago, and the fact that music helped that journey happen for me.
And the journey is never ending for McGill. We watched a rehearsal for a new composition by Cuban composer Tanya Leon as part of the Philharmonic's Project 19, an initiative highlighting the work of women composers in honor of the ratification of the 19th Amendment.
How'd it go from your standpoint?
Oh, I'm getting excited.
I'm glad you got to kind of see what that's like.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
It's very raw.
In its initial form, it's very raw. Things are like, we're working, that's what the rehearsal is for.
A few days later, the performance stirred the soul.
What was that like for you? African-American man, African-American woman, playing that on the grandest stage in the world.
It was powerful. You can hear the sound of struggle in this music.
McGill also sees it as his mission to teach and inspire the next generation.
Let's do it like that slow. Ba-da-da-dee-da-dee-da. Good. That's great.
9-year-old Kyra has a weekly lesson from McGill. McGill is the artistic director of Juilliard's Music Advancement Program, or MAP. It's designed to serve students from diverse backgrounds who are underrepresented in classical music.
I want everyone to be less shy when you play. Everyone's kind of a little bit shy, a little bit tense, right?
I think that it's really important that someone of that background represents, classical music.
Being first chair, it's like everyone's dream.
It's a dream that Anthony McGill embraces.
I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, this is just like looking at this campus here and thinking about all the art and beautiful music and the history of it is pretty spectacular.
But he also acknowledges, as the lone African American in the Philharmonic, there is a lot of work to do. We're sitting in the library of the New York Philharmonic. And if you look at those books, I'd go out on a limb here to say there's probably not many black faces in there.
What we're trying to bring awareness to and hopefully help change is the fact that we need representation of different peoples, different faces, different voices.
You're on that stage, and it sends out a powerful message.
There's so many great classical musicians of color, and some in orchestras, but the number's way too small. And so what's the history of that? And then that we know, and then what can we do to change?
We'll have a special right here on CBS and New York. Well, you can see that story in all of our Black History Month reports. You can see it several times this weekend, beginning Saturday, 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 10 p.m. Sunday, you could watch it at 5 p.m. and 10 p.m.